touching on skin, an invitation to cultivating delight. One of my students came into class, virtually came into class. She called into the class from her iPhone into Zoom while shopping in Home Depot, and I wondered what was going on in the minds and the spirits of my students, young people today. And tangentially, I was wondering really what was going on with myself. I started to think about joy and happiness, and what were these differences and how were they defined? I sort of stumbled upon and I came across the term delight, and realized that delight is hard. It's hard to find. It's not something that is general. Like, I'm generally happy, but you're taking time to engage with a world filled with things that we see all the time and sort of have a habitual way of looking at things and looking at them again and saying, oh, wow, that just thrilled my heart. I guess that's what delight feels like to me. Or you taste something, or you hear something, these aren't new things. They're things that we really see all the time, like the tree. One day you just stop and say, wow. So I decided to just chuck everything. It's like start fresh. And I just by chance I heard a radio story about the poet Brosquet, who had written a book on delight, and it struck me. He said that delight is rigorous, and it's about engaging with the world, the things you see all the time, and you kind of look at with a habitual gaze. It's about listening and noticing with empathy. And I thought, wow, isn't that part of what we teach? Wouldn't that be something to learn? Cultivating delight. Maybe that's all we teach. Please allow yourself to have your feet on the floor or the ground. And just start by noticing that contact. Maybe thinking about the bones like pebbles, and they are negotiating a relationship with that ground, whether your feet are standing feet or sitting feet. Let's start with the relationship of the ground on which we stand and the layers of story that are part of that ground. On your next inhalation, what do you sense those stories feel like in your body? Inhale and exhale. If you can, send your arms out wide as you can. And whether your arms are bare or covered with cloth, notice the flesh on the inside of your arms, and notice that flesh is a little different. It's a little private. It's flesh that others don't see easily. It's not available. to touch easily. There's almost two kinds of skin, a public skin and a private skin. Bringing your hands together, please rub your hands vigorously. And while you're rubbing, be aware that the very top layer of the skin sheds all the time, allowing that rubbing to pause and keeping the hands near one another. And as they separate, sense the energy that you can feel between these hands. Now starting to move the hands away from one another. And now bring the hands to the place right beneath your clavicle, knowing that the very tops of the lungs are there, and sending some energy to those lungs as you breathe, and moving the hands down the front to the breasts, to the bottom ribs, and taking those hands around to the back, touching the bottom ribs. If you can, up through the shoulder blades, sending your energy through your hands into your body, touching on skin. Sense your fingers like tiny bones in a relationship with your soil, feeling your way through layers of history. Feel past the socialized forces of sight to the sediment of your essential being. Allow your touch to open the senses, the emotions, the memories, the lived experiences that are part of your flesh. Allowing the hands to pause, and now returning the hands to the front ribs and bringing your hands between your breasts, knowing that that is the place of the heart. And sending some energy to your heart. Feeling the rhythm of your heart, and maybe sensing the gentle massage your heart gets with each breath and the movement of the lungs. Taking your imagination into the soil of your heart space, feeling through it with sensitivity and empathy, sensing what is there. And you may leave the hands where they are if you like, but the choice is yours as you start to move in the space. And as you move about as you are able, sense your feet in conversation with the ground or the floor, giving and receiving in a manner that is respectful, and sense the earth is returning the same gesture to you. And bringing your eyes to gaze on the next thing you see, Perhaps it's something you see every day. Maybe it's something you're seeing for the first time. And ideally, this is something that you can bring your senses to through touch. And as you touch this item, look at it with your breath. Use the eyes of your breath and let whatever sounds are part of your breath come into the space, and start to notice something that you have discovered that inspires a sensation of delight. Is it possible to be stirred, to acknowledge delight in the ordinary, in the things and experiences of every day? Is it possible for our imaginations to manifest what is called the beloved community? Returning the item to where you found it, and take a moment and gaze upon it with intentional gratitude. Thank you. Being thankful on purpose is a way of finding, a way of cultivating delight. Seeing past the social forces to the layers and layers of soil and sediment, past the layers and layers of skin and flesh, to what is essential. Allow yourself to pause and release that experience. But if you can, be intentionally thankful and cultivate an imagination for friendship, love, the beloved community. Practice cultivating delight.